CNN Center. Seven-time Tour de France champion Lance Armstrong has informed the United States Anti-Doping Agency he will not formally challenge allegations that he used performance-enhancing drugs. Armstrong released a lengthy statement on Thursday that began by saying, quote, "There comes a point in every man's life when he has to say enough is enough." After losing his latest legal battle to halt USADA's claims against him, Armstrong now faces sanctions that would include being stripped of all victories starting in August of 1998 and a lifetime ban from the sport. USADA claims in its case that it has drug results that are consistent with doping and could present 10 former teammates who were willing to testify against Armstrong, who through it all has denied any involvement in illegal doping. In his statement, Armstrong said, "USADA cannot assert control of a professional international sport and attempt to strip my 7 Tour de France titles. I know who won those 7 tours. My teammates know who won those 7 tours, and everyone I competed against knows who won those 7 tours." In the closing paragraph of his statement, Armstrong said, "Today I turn the page. I will no longer address the issue regardless of the circumstances." USADA, while saying they had not formally received confirmation from Armstrong himself, did have a response to the now retired cyclist's public statements that he would not be fighting the charges. It came from the organization's CEO saying, quote, "It is a sad day for all of us who love sport and our athletic heroes. This is a heartbreaking example of how the win-at-all-cost culture of sport, if left unchecked, will overtake fair, safe, and honest competition. But for clean athletes, it is a reassuring reminder that there is hope for future generations to compete on a level playing field without the use of performance-enhancing drugs." Peter Flax is the editor-in-chief of magazine. He joins me now via Skype. Peter, Lance Armstrong says he's not going to continue the fight against the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, yet he steadfastly remains innocent. He says he's innocent once again. Is this a surrender on the part of Lance Armstrong?
Well, I think he's picking the least worst of his options, and I think here he can claim the moral high ground and correctly portray this as a witch hunt. It definitely appears to me like it was an unfair process that came after him, and at the same time, I think it's an acknowledgement on his part, not spoken, that he's cornered, that the charges are largely accurate, and he's guilty of a lot of these doping allegations, and so he's taken the path to be able to go to his supporters and his foundation supporters and claim innocence.
How strong is USADA's case against Armstrong, Peter?
Oh, I think it's really solid. In the past, it's always been teammates who had a gripe with Lance, but in the last round of depositions, a number of former teammates that were his most trusted lieutenants gave detailed testimony about their own doping activities and things they saw on the team. And I think that in conjunction with other evidence USADA has assembled, if it became public, it'd be really hard for Lance Armstrong to look America and the world in the eye and say that he's clean.
In that statement released on Thursday, Peter, it seems as if Armstrong is challenging USADA, saying they can't attempt to strip him of his 7 Tour de France titles, let alone the Olympic medals and such. Can they?
Well, I think we'll have to wait and see. There's a number of organizations, some of them American, some of them international, that have to sort this out. I think it's quite possible that in the official records that his yellow jerseys are stricken. As one lifetime cycling fan, that for me always, even though I'm convinced that he is guilty, that Lance Armstrong won those 7 tours, and he will always be the yellow jersey owner in my eyes, and I'm sure that's the same for millions of fans.
At the end of his statement, Peter, Armstrong said that he's going to move past this, commit himself to causes like people and families affected by cancer. He himself, of course, a cancer survivor. What does this do to the legacy?
The legacy is being shaped right in front of our eyes. It's really painful and paradoxical to try and figure this out, because unlike most athletes who cheated to gain fame and fortune, that Lance took that and did something incredible that inspired millions of people. And so, I think the charges are fair, and I think he's backing down because he knows that he would be outed in public, but I also feel like he is a great champion and a great humanitarian, and that's what makes this so confusing and painful.
Finally, your magazine has done a lot of work with Lance Armstrong, mentioning his name throughout the years. How are you guys going to write this story?
Well, you know, we're presenting it as you know, the context being shaped right in front of our eyes, and you know, it's my feeling that this isn't about justice anymore. There's been so many strange deals made to get to this point, and it's not going to satisfy most fans. And you know, so it's a painful moment right now. I think he is the greatest bike racer of his generation, and will always be considered that. But you know, I think you know, he's finally being caught for things that he did in that 7-year era.
Peter Flax, editor-in-chief of Bicycling Magazine. Peter, always good to have you here on World Sport.
Likewise.
Antonio Conti, coach of a